as I want to show this museum by images, and also I want to show the history before this museum and after this museum and the stadium as well. And first I want to show the museum. And as I explained many times about the inspiration from the sea cliff of Orkney Island. The Orkney Island is you know, the north from here, and it's very beautiful, the sea cliff. And I think, what is the beauty come from? Material, of course, material is very important, but also the rhythm of landform is very important. The nature has always rhythm. It's like music. But architecture in 20th century, most of architects think about form and silhouette. And, but always we can find rhythm, and in some words it is mathematics in landform. And how to learn the rhythm from nature is very important. And this is my first sketch of the museum. I want to show the rhythm of the museum in a simple way. And secondly, I'm thinking about relationship with nature. The location of this museum is very, very unique. The River Tay is here, and from the beginning of the competition, international competition, the belief was saying the museum can be pushed into river. This is very unique condition for the building. So most of the building should be in the site, but the competition for this museum, as a client, asking us to be in the water. It is unusual, very unique and brave the decision of the client. And our solution is like that. This part is in the River Tay, and also our solution is to cut the building like that. So, and the city is there, and Union Street is in the city, and people can see this hall, and I call it cave, and a cave is inviting people to the river. And by this as a site planning, so we think we can reconnect river and city. And it's very important for the city in 21st century. In 20th century, most of the waterfront were occupied by big factories, warehouses, and people's life and water, river, nature were totally separated in 20th century. And in Tokyo, it's happened. So when you have chance to come to Tokyo, you cannot feel waterfront. Before 19th century, Tokyo was the city of the waterfront. People are enjoying waterfront. The people were picking a seashell in the waterfront as a crab, as a small crab, and those seashell. Even in Tokyo, people pick up the seashell and ate seashell because the waterfront was part of their life. But in 20th century, in the age of industrialization, the waterfront was totally occupied by those big boxes. The same thing happened everywhere in the world. and the same as in Dundee. And before that project happened, the people couldn't feel waterfront. But the city of Dundee wanted to reconnect the city and water, and I think I really like that idea, and I really like the cave. And in Japan, we have so many as a similar idea. And you know, torii gate, the torii gate in front of shrine. So every shrine has torii gate. The gate is designed to invite people to the shrine. And actually, before shrine, as always, forest exists. And then torii gate is the gate to nature. And the torii gate is to reconnect nature and city. And later I will show you the example. And you can see that this part is in the water, and this is a cave. My favorite space in the museum is this cave. And the rhythm. And the rhythm of landform I try to apply to the facade of the building. The material-wise, we should use the precast concrete to protect the building. Precast concrete is in a kind of industrial material, but so we try to create rhythm with the concrete bar. And the randomness of angle, the randomness of length, and randomness of gap, those as a rhythm is very similar to the rhythm of the sea cliff, and then people feel the similarity to sea cliff. And this is the beginning of the entrance of cave, and also the shape-wise, we try to avoid vertical wall as possible as can. And the land is slowly going to the wall and going to heaven. And I try to connect land and heaven, land and sky by this shape. And this is a cave. And when I was a boy, I was born in Yokohama. Yokohama is not the countryside. Yokohama is adjacent city to Tokyo, but behind my house there is a mountain, and there was a cave. And every day I was playing in the cave. Cave is a magical space. I can see many frogs and many strange insects in the cave. But it is a cave. I really like cave. And as people can see as a beautiful river and landscapes through the cave. And this is a section of the building. And this is the cave. Water is here, and this is access to river. And this slope is also working to make this space unique. Not vertical wall. Vertical wall is always cut the relationship. But if it's inclined a little bit, it is very inviting. And this inclination, inviting people to the upper floors. And then the ground floors and upper floors feel like connected. And you know this space well. And again, the oak panels has small gaps and singing a song. It's a kind of music. And the vibration is important for this wooden panels. And behind this is a slope. There exists cave, and the cave and the slope is very much similar to landform. So artifact always want to be vertical, but in nature, to find verticalness is very difficult because it's always moving like that. And we did use oak. And luckily, the Lenny McIntosh loom is named Oak Loom, and Oak Loom and Oak of the Bell. This is oak as well, as echoing each other. So for explaining the rhythm of nature, I often use this wood block. This wood block was by Hiroshige, and Hiroshige is a very famous ukiyo-e painter in 19th century. As 1857, he made that. This is a very famous wood block. And please look at rhythm of rain. The rain is a vertical line, but vertical line looks like rain. Why? Because of rhythm. And it's just he carefully created rhythm. And the same rhythm we applied to the facade of this museum. And please look at the rhythm of that lines. And also he did use the method of layering. The layering of screen of rain, the screens of forest, and he created depths of space. And in Western painting, the depths was represented by perspective drawing. You know, perspective drawing this is a great invention of the Renaissance period. But in Asia, Japan, China, we didn't use perspective method. So always rhythm and layering. And no perspective method you can't find in this wood block. And so some great Western artists found the beauty of rhythm of nature. And this is a good example by Vincent van Gogh. So he respected Hiroshige, the ukiyo-e artist, very much, and he copied the work of Hiroshige. And if you can go to Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, so you will find this copy by Gogh himself. And another great architect, he respected Hiroshige, is Frank Lloyd Wright, the American great architect. He came to Japan often, and he learned many things from Japanese ukiyo-e. And he himself wrote, and without Hiroshige and Tenshin Okakura, Tenshin Okakura was the author of Book of Tea, and without those two Japanese artists, I couldn't establish my style. He himself wrote that. And as historians pointed out, the similarity of this method and Hiroshige's method, and also the the roof, the big roof, and the shadow beneath the roof is very similar to Japanese traditional building. And my Hiroshige Museum, so Hiroshige Museum is a museum dedicated to Hiroshige's art. So I did use the similarism of laying of Hiroshige. And material-wise, we did use wood for roof and wall. And also, we cut the building to create the hall which connect city and forest. Please look at the plan. The building was divided into two parts, and the people can see through the forest. And this is a very typical urban plan in Japan. The town, city, is sitting at the edge of forest. Not in the forest, not far from the forest, as sitting at the edge of forest. It is a typical urban planning of Japan because people want to feel nature. People want not disturb nature. Living closer to nature is our lifestyle. And then they always build shrine at the edge of mountain. Because shrine is a symbol of of forest, and shrine was sending the strong message to community. What is the message? Don't destroy forest. And then they built shrine. This is very different from the location of the church in the Western cities. Church in Western cities always in the center of the city, but in Japan, always at the edge of the forest, and totally different the location. And the shrine always has a torii gate. You know, torii gate. It's as a whole to invite people to nature and to reconnect nature and the city. This is interior, and always, even interior, I try to create rhythm of lines. And material is a rice paper from the place, the stone, local stone, and the wood from forest behind. And again, the many rhythms coexist, and the layering is similar to the wood block of Hiroshige. Even the furnitures, we apply the same method. This is furnitures, thin lines. And for the small pavilions, we also try to learn from the rhythm of nature. This is a pavilion in Milan. And we got a hint from the toy for kids. So this toy looks very simple, but the system is very complex. The 3 types of joint, and the 3 bars are fixed by the action of twist. By twisting, they can fix. So we brought this wooden bar to Italy, and my student constructed by themselves. And after coming back to Japan, we decided to use this method to bigger permanent building. We tested the structure of this system, tested like that, and then there's a section of the building. It's a 10 meters high building, 3-story building, but no column, no beam, only sticks. And the sticks are creating rhythm. And as an interior, as a feel like forest. And for bigger project, as we also applied that method. This is a bridge. And then in 20th centuries, most of the bridge made by steel or concrete. And instead, so we try to going back to wooden bridge. And those as a wood bars are creating as a unique rhythm, and that rhythm is fitting to the rhythm of forest. And the wooden bridge is often covered like that to protect wood. And for the same Yusuhara village, so we found this beautiful tea house. And the materials is beautiful. And we try to use the same material for the small hotel of the village. And this is like that. And also such is creating unique rhythm. But the most difficulty of this project is to find the craftsman who can use thatch. Before Second World War, thatch was very, very common in Japan. But after Second War, to use thatch became very, very difficult. And then the tradition was almost disappeared. And luckily for this project, we could find the craftsman. He's more than 70 years. But I asked him to come back to the project. He agreed, and then we can achieve that. And so this project is for unique client, different type of client, Starbucks. But the location-wise, it is in front of shrine. I'll explain. This is a shrine, the Dazai Futenmangu Shrine in Kyushu. It's the south part of Japan. It is one of the major shrines in Japan. Maybe you know Ise Shrine, Izumo Shrine. And also the Tenmangu Shrine is a very important shrine. It was built in the 10th century. And in front of the shrine, in front of Torii Gate, I mentioned Torii Gate before. This Torii Gate is to connect nature and city. So this is a special location, and then Starbucks has asked me to design the special Starbucks which will fit the history of the place. And then I try to do the challenge. And this is not decoration. This wooden bars is supporting the building. It is a structural element. And actually, the construction of the Starbucks took 2 years. And then they complained very much. Because normal Starbucks 3 months, but it's 2 years. But as it becomes the most Instagrammable Starbucks in the world, they said. Yeah, very unique rhythm, very different from normal interior. And in the center of Tokyo, we did the designs of culture and tourist center in front of this temple. This is one of the oldest temples in Tokyo, and it's a typical layout of temple. pagoda, the main building, the gate, approach, and the side by side is here. So, and we did design this kind of tower. And so each floors, the people can feel like living in the wooden building, living in the one-story wooden building. It's very intimate, very comfortable. And also the triangular space between roof and the floors is very useful for machine. It is a rendering for the building, and this is a real building. And again, the wooden panels is creating special rhythm. And in China, we also try to use local material as possible as can. And by using local material, we create the rhythm of the place. This museum in Hangzhou, so we found the unique, beautiful roof tile. The roof tile in China is handmade, still handmade. In Japan, the roof tile of the roof is made by big factory, and the same color and same size is very boring. But in China, you can see this, you can feel some rhythm by small particles. And we also use the same material for the screen of the building. This vertical screen is to control natural light. The museum should be protected from natural light, and we did use this screen. And but as the detail is very, very difficult, so we did use stainless wires to fix the ceramic tile with stainless wire. And the effect is like that. Because of randomness, because of the rhythm of ceramic tile, the interior has a very special feeling, like forest. And in Beijing, in the center of Beijing, we worked in this district. In the very center, there was Forbidden City, the house for emperor. And in front of the Forbidden City, Tiananmen Square, and in front the Chenmen district. This is our site. And Chenmen district used to be like that. It is a kind of abandoned area, the old houses, courtyard houses. It's a typical style of China. And but as most of the houses are abandoned, and the big developers want to build skyscraper, to demolish everything and build skyscrapers. But some newspapers were against that ideas, and then finally, the Chinese government decided to preserve this district. I think it's a very smart decision, and they asked us to work for the preservation. They want to change the image of the district. This is an old brick, the black brick. The name of black brick is Sen. The people call it Sen. And the black brick is creating the special rhythm. And we translated this rhythm to transparent aluminum block. And as we try to open up the building to the street, because before the street was separated by heavy wall, it's not active, not vibrant. This is the detail of aluminum block. And this is my office in Beijing. because the idea of this development is as a city, as a city, a town and street for art and artists. And then I decided to move my office from the taller building to this street. And my staff really enjoying working here. And I will show the very new two project. Actually, last week we had the opening of this Sydney project. This is wood, real wood, and this is spiraling. And so please compare those boxes. The site is in the Darling Exchange in Sydney. It is very, very center, as a facing waterfront, and but surrounded by as a high-rise condominiums. And the city of Sydney wanted to have the community center in the skyscrapers. And my idea is to create a totally opposite as a soft building in the high-rise buildings. And this is detail of the building. And also the program is very unique. As a ground floor, the ground floors is for market, the small shops and the small bars, cafes. The movable box for ground floor. Second floor is a library for community, library books, and third floor is nursery, because the skyscrapers, condominiums needs nursery. The fourth floor is restaurants. And I like this as a mix. And this is very different from normal office building and the normal condominiums. And the program is soft and the shape is soft. This is our idea. And the last project I show you today is National Stadium, ongoing project. Maybe you are interested in the National Stadium, what happened for National Stadium. And very common idea with this museum, how to connect building to nature. The location of National Stadium, new National Stadium, is very center of Tokyo. And you see the skyscrapers of Shinjuku skyscrapers, and a Park Hyatt, that kind of skyscrapers here. But just besides those skyscrapers, so there is a beautiful forest. It is a forest of Meiji Line, the Shinjuku Gyoen Forest, the Gaian Forest, those forests. And we should reconnect with those forests. And also, the building should have the special rhythm. And this is the main entrance. The 5 layers of eaves. And that ideas is very similar to 5-story pagoda in Nara. And this pagoda name is Horyuji Temple, and it is the oldest temple in the oldest wooden building in the world, built 7th century. It's already 1,400 years after the completion of the building. And also please look at the rhythm of wooden joist, those wooden sticks. And those beautiful rhythms is to create harmony with the environment. And also those 5 layers is to create beautiful shadow. And the same idea applied to our stadium. It's a 5 layers and creating shadows, and protect wood from sunlight, and also protect from rain, and rhythms. And also for the main the field, so is covered by those roof structure. You can see wood and the steel is combined together. And also the natural ventilation is the theme of this stadium. Because in 20th century, the building, all the buildings is separated from environment, and the air conditioning is to control the internal climate. But I think this is not healthy. So we should feel as a wind, we should feel nature in the building. And we carefully calculated the angle of those soffit, and to bring the wind down to those the seats, and as a natural ventilation, and the heated air is going to the sky. And those recycled materials is also used for the floors and the wall. And this space is semi-covered space, open to public. And most of the stadium, after the big event, it was not used anymore. But this stadium, my idea is, this is a space open to public, 365 days a year, and maybe people can enjoy this space. People can land, people can walk, and people can rest in this area. And as we also design the landscape as well, it is a creek. It is as a circulation of rainwater, and then as electric came from the photovoltaic panels. And by adding those spaces, we try to create the relationship with environment, relationship with community. Shouldn't be separated. So this is already September, and now most of the facade was done. And please look at the rhythm of wood. And if you look carefully, the pitch of louvers is not consistent. So because we did a simulation of natural wind in Tokyo, so we have the data of this district at this position, and as a summer from that direction and the winter from that direction, so we have the data, and we try to bring natural wind most efficiently to the stadium, and then every directions we have the different pitch and different rhythm, and I think the different rhythm is good for the building. The natural randomness and make building more natural and more merging to the environment. And also the wood that we are using for this stadium is coming from every district of Japan, every prefecture of Japan. So we have 47 prefectures, and we did use the wood from every prefecture of Japan. And I want to show the diversity of Japan. The south prefectures, Kagoshima, Kumamoto, and the north is Hokkaido, the Tohoku. There's a very different climate. It's the same as UK, north and south very different. And the wood from those different climate has different color, different grain, and I myself was very surprised to see the difference. And eventually this the stadium is showing the richness of Japanese nature, diversity of Japanese natures, and I think it's very important for the building in 21st century. Because 20th century, the material was concrete, steel. So no character, no nature, no rhythm. But in this building, so I want to show that kind of the future building. And the similar method with Dundee. Dundee, you can see the lines and rhythms, randomness, and the same ideas is in National Stadium. And next year, if you have time, please come to see this building, and please check the similarity with the V&A Dundee. Thank you very much.